Hello again, boys and girls. So we're starting a new story this week, and the title of the story is "A Day When Frogs Wear Shoes." That's a very interesting title, and we're going to see why that story has that title. It's very interesting, very strange, but I think you'll enjoy the story too. Now, before we start to read, I sent home a Quizlet. I figured that would be easier to review vocabulary words than me doing the PowerPoint lesson that I do with you every week. So if you could just click on the Quizlet, it'll show you the word, the definition, a sentence, and there's also a picture. They're like flashcards. I think you'll enjoy those. You have their games that you could play with them, and you could do them for a few minutes every day. And I know you're going to learn your vocabulary words. Also, as you know, tomorrow we'll do a page on your activity manual to review the words as well. Okay. All right, so the lesson for today is going to be actually a very short one. We will start reading the story tomorrow. And like I said in the previous videos, don't rush to do all your work in one day just so that you could be free. I just think it's better if you just do the lessons for today without going ahead. Watch the videos that I send you. I try to keep them as short as possible, but it's better to do it that way. Keep in track with what we usually do in school, because in school, you know, you're not allowed to go ahead. So try not to go ahead, boys and girls. All right, so what we're going to be studying within this story is relationships in a story, relationships among characters. If you remember from last week's lesson, Lorenzo and Angelina, Lorenzo the donkey had a relationship with Angelina. We read the story in the different points of view between Angelina and Lorenzo. Lorenzo thought that Angelina was yelling too much, and he did not want to continue the trip up to that mountain she wanted to go see. Angelina thought Lorenzo was just being stubborn, but really we could see that Lorenzo was trying to protect Angelina. So they had a relationship. We also saw later in the story when Angelina's father came looking for her. You saw that there was a relationship there. Other stories that we have read, for example, in Sybil Rides by Night, we see that the relationships that Sybil has with her father, the lieutenant, is one of respect, one of where she obeys her dad. That's another relationship. In the story Goodbye 382 Xing Dan Dong, we see that the girl, what's her name again? Kisuni, she has a relationship with her best friend, and she has moved to a new country, and she's making new friends, and there's a relationship there. So in many stories, in most stories that we read, you are going to see relationships in between different characters, and that is what is happening in A Day Where Frogs Wear Shoes. First of all, let's talk about what is a relationship. What is a relationship? There are different types of relationships. The relationship that I have with you is that of a teacher and a student. I have certain things that I do for you, and there are things that you have to also do. You have a relationship between your parents. You have relationships. The way you interact is a relationship with your siblings, with your friends at school, with your friends in your neighborhood. Okay? So if you look at page 232 in your textbook, okay, and if you don't have it, you could pause it, go grab your book, and come back, and I'll wait. So open up to page 232. And there you will see a picture of a dog in snow. We want to know what a relationship is within a story. And if you look at the very first bullet point, a relationship is the way two characters in a story connect to one another. What is their relationship? What is their connection? In The Printer, we have the boy telling the story, the narrator, telling the story of his father who saved everyone from the fire. Okay? How are they connected between father and son? How were the father in that story, the printer, how was he connected to the other workers? Those who were hearing, those who were not hearing. That's a relationship. Look at the second bullet point. A relationship may involve strong feelings such as love or hate. So far, the stories that we have read have feelings of love. Kisune loved being in her old home. She loved her neighbors, her family, her friends, and she didn't want to move. She was starting to love being in her new country, the United States. So we're talking about feelings. When we're talking about a relationship, we also talk about feelings. We're going to find out what the characters in the story feel towards each other. The third bullet point. A relationship may remain the same throughout the story. So within the story of The Printer, we see that the boy telling the story of how his father saved everyone from the fire, the feelings that he has towards his father don't really change. He's telling us how he feels towards him. He's telling us about a heroic act that the father did, but they don't change. He loves him in the beginning. He loves him at the end. In the story of 382 Xing Dang Dong, we see that Kisune, her love for her country and her love for her best friends and her family, they don't change. Okay, they stay the same. The last bullet point on page 382. Relationships between characters may change. Well, sometimes they could stay the same, but it may change from the beginning to the end of the story. Perhaps we'll read a story where the two characters start off not getting along, not liking each other. But then, towards the end, they find a way to work out their differences, and now they're friends. See, that's the change in the story. And there's a change in the way they interact with each other. Okay? What I want you to do now is read the story on pages 232 and 233. And the title of the story is When Snow Days Come, Dogs Have Beards. And as you read the story, you are going to find out what are the relationships between the characters in the story. And I want you to answer to yourself the 3 think about it questions. Now, you're going to go ahead and pause this video. You are going to take a few minutes to read that short story. And then once you are done reading the story, you're going to hit the unpause button, and we're going to answer those 3 questions together. Okay? So why don't you pause, read the story, and we'll come right back. Okay? Go ahead. Okay, now that you read the story, let's go to page 232 where it says think about it. Number 1, what evidence can you find in the story that mom is very considerate of dad? Now the word considerate means that she thinks of Dad, that she thinks about his feelings, she thinks about what he needs. And the answer to that is Mom never says anything to dampen Dad's enthusiasm, even when she thinks that what he is saying is weird. So she supports him. She doesn't want him to feel bad. So if you have anything like that, that's correct. Now, by the way, you don't have to write these questions down. These are just for you to think about them, okay? We're not writing anything down. Number 2. How do Will and Sarah relate to the dog with the beard? Will and Sarah feel sorry for the dog and they want to help him. And the third, now why do you think they feel sorry for him? Maybe he's alone. Maybe he feels cold. Okay? 3. What do you think is the relationship between the children and their father? The children seem to love their father. They like his humor. Humor, that means that they think he's funny. And they are happy that he is so kind to animals. Very good. Okay, so tomorrow you're going to read A Day When Dogs Wear Shoes. I'm going to find out why that story has a funny title. And I think when you find it at the end, oops, I said it is at the end, you find out at the end why that story gets that title. You're going to probably laugh out loud, okay? All right, so I'll see you for the next time. Take a short break and we'll come back.